Right, I'm Lucy. I'm 23 and I'm from Newport in Wales.
I'm Rob. I'm 24. I'm from Harrogate in Yorkshire.
Okay, so you guys ready to start the questions?
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with an easy one. It's how did you meet? So you write down your answer and we just kind of see if there's a differences in your answers then.
Right. It should be an easy one.
Should be. You would think so. I've had some weird differences though. So we'll see.
Always going all in. Ready?
Yeah, you both hold it up at the same time.
Right, so you can see that. But it's Walkabout Cardiff.
Yeah, on New Year's Eve 2019.
Okay, so same answers pretty much, just with more information. So who wants to give the background story? Because it's the same answer, so one can...
I can't remember that
Yeah,
one.
he didn't have his eyes open for most of the night because he was too drunk. But I was out with my two best friends, Charlotte and Rhiannon, and we were in Cardiff for New Year's. And I got us kicked out of one club because they caught me drinking out of a hip flask in the toilet.
Of course.
Yeah, so you wouldn't expect any less from me, Kat. So I got kicked out of there. Then we went into Walkabout, which was just the next closest club, was downstairs. And then Rob and his friend Alex came into the group. And then next thing you know, he's bought me a drink and we're sort of...
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so the next one is, what was your impression of your partner when you first met them? This is always an interesting one for people.
Right. Ready?
Yeah, you guys ready?
Yeah. Right, you do yours. I said he seemed shy, but I couldn't see his eyes.
Because it was dark, or?
No,
My eyes
so
go really close
yeah,
when
when
I'm drunk.
Rob's drunk, it's literally like that all night. And you just can't see anything.
And I said I was captivated and I thought we were absolutely stunning. So I couldn't remember it that well, but I just remembered meeting someone that really had my attention.
That is true love there. That is a true love answer. Okay, next one. Describe your first official date.
Ooh.
I sometimes have different answers. You can't discuss what you think was your first date. You've got to come up with your own opinion.
Right. I think it's that.
Oh, you both had the same answer.
Yeah, Cardiff Museum.
So how did that come about as a first date?
Well, I'd say first date. We first met up after New Year's in Fuel in Cardiff. We did like a meet-up after New Year's, and then I obviously went back to Cheltenham for uni.
Yeah.
So he was living in Cardiff, but that was like me sort of being like,
Yeah,
because he wouldn't go for it, and like actually, yeah, he was too shy. So then obviously I took the lead and was like, how about Cardiff Museum, because you're not far from there, and I just like museums. Yeah, so that was our first proper.
It was a nice day.
Yeah, we got to know each other better, which was nice.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good date to talk to each other in, because you haven't got loud noises or anything.
But it has
we had quite similar interests in the stuff that was in there as well. Like we liked learning about all the stuff. So.
Yeah, and it was a good date to do because like you had other things to talk about. You weren't relying on just each other. You could be like, oh, check out that cool fossil.
True. It's good like conversation starters.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a good date. So, next question. Let's go with a bit cringy. Describe your first kiss. Now, do you guys remember when your first kiss was? Because sometimes people just don't know.
Well,
Or the first kiss you remember, I suppose.
I'm going to go for that. Let me turn this off so it's easier. Always going in.
Very descriptive.
No. I just said New Year's night.
Yeah, same. But she said she would give me a kiss if I bought her a drink. So I immediately ran off to the bar.
Well, I see how it is now, Lucy. I see how it is. Right, so delving into more maybe serious questions, but when did it become serious for you? Like, when did the relationship become more serious? So you can write it down, because sometimes people have different answers for this, which is interesting.
I think we might. Ooh. Okay. I'm saying the first time I went to Cardiff.
I said it's the first meet up in Fuel. Just I knew straight away that
That was the same answer.
I knew straight away that you were kind of the one for me.
Oh, you guys are too cute.
I just knew he intrigued me and that I was like always a bit different.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I don't, because you have similar interests. I mean, similar interests is kind of like the first obstacle for a lot of people. So it's hard to find somebody with that many similar interests as you. So I suppose it makes sense. Makes sense. Right, so I'm assuming you've said this to each other. So when did you first say I love you?
Ah, that's an easy one.
Live Lounge.
Live Lounge.
Same answer again. You two are so in sync. You're beating my system here. Okay, so this is more about like you're going to describe your partner in one word. So we're kind of going away now from your relationship as a whole,
right,
to how you see your partner. So you need to just pick one word, and then you can describe it.
Ready?
Oh, they're both nice answers.
So caring.
So positive. She's got a really nice outlook on life. And always see the best in things.
Do you have any like examples of stories where you've shown those characteristics?
Yeah, Rob is most days like if I've had. So I'm working as a care worker at the moment for a disabled young woman, and it's really mentally draining because she's in pain a lot of the time, and like it's just hard to see because she's such a lovely girl.
Yeah.
So if I come back from a day's work with her, he'll like make me a coffee, make sure I've got enough little food, like ask if I want to have like a little bit of telly time, or like do you want to snuggle up in bed, do you want like some quiet time. He just is super caring to what I need at the time.
Okay.
You've always been really positive. Like whenever I've been quite down, especially during my MSc in Exeter, I had quite a lot of like down times. But you always had this sort of positive outlook that sort of dragged me out of it and made me feel better. So it's always been quite positive towards things.
Feels like quite similar answers. Because to be like with a positive attitude, having a caring nature comes with it, kind of thing, with looking after each other. So it makes sense. Right. Next one is describe your favourite feature of your partner. You can be physically or mentally, whatever floats your boat. Oh my god, you guys had the same answer. How is this even possible?
Oh my god.
I don't even know if you can describe that if you both had the same answer, but...
I didn't see him for the first 3 days, but when I did, they were lovely.
True.
What was that, Gerard? I don't know why. Just
a lot of people do say eyes though, don't they? It's the first thing that they see is eyes when they want to have a caring answer. Yeah.
They're quite soulful to look at, I think.
I agree, I think. So, we're going to go even more deep now. So, when have you been the most vulnerable with your partner?
Ooh. It's like the easiest way to write it short.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
So I was staying at Lucy's for a good few days, and during the middle of it, my grandfather unfortunately passed away, and I found out in the morning in bed, and she was just really caring and looked after me. So obviously I was didn't feel too great after that.
Yeah.
It was pretty low. Yeah, he just made me feel a lot better.
I suppose it was a good thing you were with Lucy at the time.
Yeah, really. I was being on my own in a room otherwise, and it would have been a bit of a spiral probably, but no, sort of saved me from that.
I suppose that's a positive then, that you had Lucy there.
Yeah, massive positive.
With a positive attitude.
Mine was when I had, so I've got EB, which is a really rare genetic skin condition, and we'd gone on our first proper weekend trip away because Dad dropped us off camping in Slimbridge.
Yeah.
But it was right when we had that really bad heat wave last year, and the heat in my feet they just blister, and it's really painful, and I've never liked the fact I have it and get really frustrated when I have them and embarrassed, and it's just I just hate it. And I had a little cry after we tried to walk to a shops, and they were horrendous blisters, and for the first time anyone other than my dad just let me cry, calmed me down, said don't worry, I'll go and sort things, and got a cold bucket of water for my feet to soak in, and he was really sweet about it.
Oh, very sweet. Kieran, see, both of you showing your characteristics. So you've kind of already answered this, but how does your partner make you feel better when you feel vulnerable? You've kind of answered it, maybe you can find a different example. It's going all in again.
Just so hard to... Yeah.
Oh, okay, so who wants to explain first?
You always just sort of look after me whenever I'm feeling down and make sure I have everything that I need and make me have a more positive outlook on what's going on. Just sort of bring me back up.
He lets me have space when I need it, which is quite important for me because in the past I found that they tend to be quite suffocating and overstep the mark and then get annoyed at me when I need that little break, which I think is quite healthy to need a bit of space sometimes. But he lets me have it, and it doesn't mean I don't want to see him. It just means sometimes I put my headphones on and listen to some shite YouTube videos, and he's there but isn't constantly needing to talk, and will take a couple hours off just to let me have that breathing space.
Yeah, it's you always need space, really, don't you? Even with family members, you always need space to yourself. So it's good that you have that option. So next one is kind of separated from your relationship, but it's what you personally consider cheating. Though you think cheating is quite a self-explanatory thing, a lot of people have different perspectives on it.
I say that.
Okay.
But it's hard to explain it on paper, but I would say being with someone else in the sense that you've emotionally connected with someone else, you've gone out on a night out and you've made out with someone, just because obviously if you have a friend and you use them to vent to, or you get quite close to someone but in a friend way, then that's obviously fine. But as soon as you start getting emotionally invested and overstepping a line, I think then it would. Yeah.
I don't think that's far from what I've said. So if you're really tempted to, but it's if you're really that tempted to go and just go and kiss someone or whatever, then you're obviously sort of checking out of the relationship already, in my eyes. It's you're already sort of in that mindset, so it's going to just spiral out of control.
Okay, Similar answers, I suppose, like with the emotional bond. You don't want to have an emotional bond with somebody who's not your partner, so it makes sense. What's the next one? The next one's quite sad, but it's what would you miss about your partner if they were gone? Okay, who wants to explain? I feel like they're quite similar.
It's a companionship, 'cause it's like we can sort of do anything together, and it's always fun. It's like having your best friend. So I mean, it'd be like, it wouldn't just be like losing a girlfriend. It'd be like losing your best friend, and who you do everything with as well.
Oh, gonna make her cry, you know.
Mine's pretty similar, just your silly jokes, like that best friend sort of having that person that is always there throughout the day, that the first person you want to tell something to, and yeah, like he said, best friend, like his silly jokes, like his funny attitude.
I suppose then it's like, it's more than just having dates with someone, it's kind of just having a boring day in with somebody. It's kind of like having both.
Yeah.
It's not just having exciting nights out every time or exciting days out, it's doing the mundane stuff together and enjoying it. That's kind of how...
It's like cooking together.
Yeah, like simple things, like cooking dinner, making breakfast together.
I understand. Right. So, we're going to go with kind of not negative questions, but just highlighting not every part of a relationship's good. So, the next one is, what have you done to hurt your partner? Maybe you haven't, maybe you've been lucky, but it can be something really small as well. It doesn't have to be a big issue. Can you put yours up a bit more, Lucy? Sorry.
Huh?
Yeah, okay. We can read them then. Okay, who wants to explain their answer first?
So mine's probably the major one. Towards the start of our relationship, I wasn't really as forthcoming and honest about some things that I definitely should have been, and it caused quite a lot of issues over the first few months of us dating, where I just wasn't honest enough about things, and it caused some issues between us, which really sucked, basically. But we managed to talk it all out and sort of sort it all.
Yeah, especially because like I'm not someone that will sit there and have an argument about something. I'll just like talk about it and then be rational, and sort of, it's always nicer to sit down and talk through it no matter how bad, because you're going to get nowhere shouting.
Yeah.
So it was kind of me that was like talking it through, and he's a bloke. Like blokes, they never think like
they
that
do
far.
Struggle, yeah.
Yeah.
No
so,
offense, but they do.
But they do, and like it just took, because he's never had a proper serious relationship before, and I have. It was very like different mindsets.
Yeah.
So there was things that he wouldn't think twice about, and to be fair, quite a few people wouldn't, but I do, because I've been in like 2 serious relationships before, and it was just a matter of, I don't even mind what he was telling me, but it was the fact he just didn't, and I gave him quite a few opportunities that were very obvious to sort of say what these things were, and he wasn't having he was being quite cowardly about it and not saying, and that was frustrating me more than if he had just told me in the first place. I could just be like, okay, I'll deal with that, fine, let's move on.
Yeah.
But it was the dragging it out and not willing to like just be honest.
Okay.
It's quite a steep learning curve. I sort of come into it, and I just didn't really think about how it would affect you, which isn't fair in this thing, but it's just something that I'd never experienced before. But I learned from my mistakes, so.
Well, you live and learn now, don't you? So obviously worked out in the end, so it's fine.
Mine was that I pushed him away at one point because of a past relationship that was really, it was like abusive. It was really bad. I just kind of reached, it wasn't that far in, but I reached a point where I was opening myself out with him and being quite vulnerable, and it freaked me out for a little minute. So I did push you away quite bad, just because it was a minor panic, like being that vulnerable with someone again, and being that vulnerable to having your heart broken potentially. It was just scary. So I pushed you away quite bad at one point, but you fought through it and pushed like back for me, which was nice.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. So, next, it kind of follows on from this one, but describe your biggest fight.
Ooh.
You don't have to be completely honest if you don't want everyone to know what your biggest fight was, but... Who wants to explain it?
So it was the last night out in Cardiff before I was leaving, and I had quite a lot of stuff going on at that time, like a lot of stress, and I ended up just having a bit of a mental breakdown type thing during the night out, and sort of blew a lot of it off on Lucy, which obviously wasn't fair at all, but it was like I didn't deal with anything at all in my head, to be honest.
Yeah, it was fine afterwards. We'd had like a calm discussion about it, and once he'd actually opened up about what was going on to me, it was easier to understand, but I made it very clear that if that happened again, nope.
Yeah, definitely with our family, especially our characteristics. I feel like though, I feel like though, because he kind of blew it off with you, like he had an argument with you over it, I think it kind of shows how close you guys were though, because you were obviously the closest person to him, so you showing your emotion to Lucy, maybe not in the way that you should have showed the emotion, but you obviously were very open with your emotion at that time, maybe just not in the right kind of format, shall we say, to sum her up. So it's probably a good thing that you did it, because it does show how much you care for each other, but at the same time, it might not have been ideal on a night out, especially in metros of all places. Okay, so we go in, it's a bit more mean now, it's the last mean question. What bothers you about your partner? You can be as open as you want, or as not open as you want. Oh, Lucy's going all out with this question. Oh, okay. Who wants to explain this first? Because I'm interested in both right now.
So I think sometimes you see yourself not quite as see yourself not quite as attractive and stuff as you actually are, and you have quite low self-confidence sometimes.
Yeah,
you have something
I do.
to do with that, and it's just, if you could see the way I see you, then you wouldn't have any self-confidence issues at all, and you don't need to. But sometimes he gets on top of you quite a bit, which, yeah, that's fair enough, but it's just, in my eyes, it's kind of unnecessary, because you don't need self-confidence issues.
Instagram does not help.
I feel like this is another family characteristic of us, though, because we're just like, we're not shy, but do you know what I mean? With our family, it's kind of like...
Yeah, I think we're all similar in that we appear really confident, but inside don't think we're that special.
Yeah, we hide things a lot. I feel like it's a common, especially in the Edwards family, is just definitely a thing that we hide for some... I don't know why we do it. Makes no sense. So, do you want to explain your answer?
I put it not as honest as you could be, but I meant more in the way that he's not as... almost the opposite, like not... or kind of similar in that confidence, but in speaking and like making what he wants known, because I think you're quite a yes person. Oh, Mum's just walked in. I think he's quite a yes.
Yeah,
all right, we're busy a minute, Mum. He's quite a yes person, like will go along with other people's things because he's so shy.
Yeah.
But I'd love it if you had the confidence to just be like, no, I want to do this, and just have the confidence sometimes to say stuff. Oh, sorry, I don't know.
My
Yeah,
mother
so I
did the
think I
same, don't worry.
wish he'd just have the confidence to be like honest about what he wants sometimes, because
Yeah.
it's never anything that's like gonna be bad for someone else. It's just something simple, sometimes as choosing a restaurant that he actually wants to go to.
Oh, I understand that part. You just kind of go with whatever somebody else says, and you're like, okay, they'll do. You're like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Creative with it
Just
sometimes.
because he's like so laid back about it, but I know it's not so much that he's laid back in the way he doesn't mind. I know internally he's thinking, oh, I would have rather have done that.
Yeah. I get that. I kind of get that one. So, to finish on a high note, the question is, why do you love the other person? So it's pretty much summing up what you've said in previous questions, but maybe there's one thing that you haven't said yet that you want to. You're just dying to let it out. Oh, okay. Both very cute answers, as per from you two. So who wants to explain it first?
Go back.
Yeah.
I just put everything that he is, because he embodies everything that I've looked for. Do you know when you're a little girl and you dream about having like a boyfriend and a husband and
Yeah.
you buy a house? He's what I always thought about as a little girl, like someone that's caring and kind and gentle, but like really importantly lets me be me, because I've had so many relationships where they've stifled me and don't like the fact I'm quite outgoing and will do kind of anything and talk to people.
Yeah.
I love talking to people. Like when we're in Poland, I'll talk to bloody any person in the bar and
Yeah.
like make friends. And a lot of people stifle that, but Rob embraces that because he trusts me. So it's nice feeling to know that I can be me.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
He's gonna cry. He's gonna cry. I can see it.
Outlook, and you kind of made me a better person, because you've helped me grow and learn so much throughout the relationship that I didn't used to really like the person that I was, but now I do, because you sort of made me a better person, and you've got such a positive outlook that you give me one, because I was always really depressing before, but it's still really
Do you think
positive.
you'd be crying today? Because you might.
Yeah, just really positive.
Well, that was the last question. Thank you for taking part.